In this episode of Cruising on Rail, we welcome you aboard the Caucasian VI. Hauled by 21 different Soviet-era steam locomotives, we'll take a special journey through the Northern Caucasus and along the Black Sea coast. Our journey starts in Moscow at the five-star Leningradskaya Hilton Hotel, where we're greeted by the Golden Eagle luxury train team and invited to a welcome dinner. In grand surroundings, recalling another elegant era. Here we'll meet our fellow travelers and share questions and answers on the eve of our departure. Moscow by night, the city that never sleeps. A bird's-eye view of the Kazansky railway station on Komsomolskaya Square, one of 9 railway terminals in Moscow. Seeing the highlights of one of the world's most famous cities is a must. Our Golden Eagle tour takes us to the grandeur of the Kremlin, the spiritual, historical, and political heart of Moscow, to see the treasures of the Tsars in the Armory Chamber. We enjoy an exclusive private viewing before the Kremlin opens to the public, and then visit famous Red Square. This iconic symbol of Russia's former military and political might features an eclectic mix of fascinating architecture, including the magnificent onion-domed spires of St. Basil's Cathedral, and the beautiful facade of the world-famous GUM department store, constructed in Tsarist times. It's also the somber and evocative site of Lenin's tomb. Next, we have a traditional Russian lunch in Cafe Pushkin, a legendary Moscow restaurant with decor that revives the atmosphere of an early 19th century mansion. We continue the day with a tour of the opulent and unique stations of the Moscow Metro, showpieces of socialist art furnished with statues, frescoes, and mosaics, a subway unsurpassed anywhere in the world. We enjoy the famous State Tretyakov Gallery, the National Museum of Fine Art, and the Space Museum. And to top it off, why not include a visit to the world-renowned Bolshoi Theater for a ballet performance? Before we depart, we receive a warm welcome from the train staff in the impressively regal Imperial waiting room.
Citizens, or at least how they wanted it to be.
Music plays on Platform 1 as conductors and train staff escort guests to their compartments, and the romantic sound of steam engines lingers in the air. Boarding time. Our train awaits. Pulled for the first 50 miles through the sprawling Moscow suburbs by 2 jet-black Soviet-era steam locomotives. The first is an SO for Sergo Ordzhonikidze, a Georgian-born Politburo member under Stalin, and the second, a German Kriegsloch taken as reparations from Germany after World War II and regauged to run in Russia. Both are 210-0 locomotives, which were mainly used for freight. This unique tour offers a constantly changing view of this rarely explored part of southwest Russia. At arrival in Mikhailov, on our way to Saratov, we change engines as two majestic bright green steam passenger locomotives are put in place. One, a huge P-36-484 built in 1955, and the second, an Su-262 built in 1938. The Golden Eagle team organizes special train-chasing photo buses, which the photographers, all bonded by their love of trains, transfer to in hopes of capturing the perfect shot. What a challenge to capture these steam-powered giants. It's like the thrill of the hunt. The autumn light follows us further south, a spectacularly colorful season in which to experience this epic train adventure. Back on board, we arrive soon in Saratov. Maintenance time for the steam locomotives. Saratov lies on the banks of the Volga River. The town, a closed city for outsiders during Soviet times, has a unique resort atmosphere with a distinctly Central European ambience. Saratov is modernized enough to house Russia's first major art museum outside Moscow or St. Petersburg, the Radyshev Museum, named after Alexander Radyshev, the first Russian revolutionary. Golden Eagle luxury trains operate the only privately owned steam locomotive in Russia. It's a P-36 class with a 484 wheel arrangement. An express passenger locomotive built at the Kolomna Railway Factory in 1954. P-36s are renowned as the most modern and famous Soviet steam design. 251 locomotives were built before steam locomotive construction ceased in 1956. Most of these were allocated to haul the USSR's most prestigious trains, like the famous Red Arrow between Moscow and St. Petersburg, as well as the trains on the all-important Trans-Siberian route from Moscow to the Sea of Japan. We spend the morning in the culturally diverse town of Astrakhan, Russia's caviar capital. Two impressive cathedrals are accompanied by the equally interesting mosques, synagogues, and temples. The Ascension Cathedral is quite impressive in the early morning light. All aboard! We're bound for Grozny. The Chechen Republic is located in the North Caucasus, the southernmost part of Eastern Europe, and less than 100 kilometers from the Caspian Sea to the east. Heat it up and step on the gas. The capital of the Republic is the city of Grozny. Here in the foothills of the Caucasus Mountain, we'll visit Grozny. Despite the region's recent turbulent history after the fall of the Soviet Union, Grozny features many interesting cultural highlights. Chief among these is the Akhmat Kadyrov Mosque. This is by far the largest mosque in Russia and was part of the huge regeneration program that has completely transformed Grozny. In the city of Grozny, modernity goes hand in hand with history and folklore. Our train continues west in the direction of Mineralny Vody. Literally, mineral waters, it's the administrative center of a number of spa towns in the foothills of the Caucasus Mountains.
Dear people, приятного аппетита!
Enjoy your meal. Thank you.
Local food, drinks, and hospitality are the key words tonight on board the Golden Eagle Caucasian journey. The next morning, as always on this trip, stunning views, this time towards the Caucasus foothills. The imposing station of Mineralny Vody is where we pause before taking the steep branch line up to Kislovodsk. Our next steam locomotives appear and are attached to the Golden Eagle for the next section of our trip, up the steeply graded line to Kislovodsk. The class LV-210-2 locomotives were some of the more advanced steam locomotives built in the Soviet Union. Built in 1955 and 6, they use a mechanical stoker to feed coal into the firebox and incorporated many other improvements. The older class L-210-0s had a relatively low axle weight in order to be compatible with the war-torn railways after World War II. Around 30 examples of these locomotives are still preserved in working order, out of the 4,200 originally built. After a brief stop in the spa town of Pyatigorsk, we continue to Kislovodsk, another spa town. Here we have the opportunity for a walking tour of the city's cobbled streets and well-manicured gardens. In Soviet times, Kislovodsk was a closed area and required special permission to visit, primarily because it was a favorite haunt of the country's leadership. After traveling overnight, headed for Apsheronsk, we head through the most densely forested area of our tour.
внимательны и осторожны. По первому пути осаживается на башмаки ретропоезд. Будьте внимательны и осторожны.
At the tiny village of Guamka, we transfer over to a restored 1930s narrow-gauge railroad for a journey through Gowamski Canyon. The narrow-gauge railroad in Gowamski Gorge is a mecca for the railroad adventurer in all of us, with amazingly picturesque views to offer visitors all year round. Be sure to keep your cameras ready. Midway on our trip, we stopped for a lovely scenic outdoor lunch beside the narrow-gauge tracks. Back on board our train for the overnight trip to Sochi as we head to the Black Sea coast. The scenic Russian Riviera line all the way to Sochi is a revelation. The Black Sea North coastline is certainly a match for its Mediterranean namesake. Sochi is generally known as a summer beach resort, but the snowy Caucasus Mountains nearby are close enough that the town was host of the 2014 Winter Olympics. It's a traditional and popular summertime vacation spot for Russian citizens from all parts of the country. Away from the embankment and the marinas, the magnolia and cypress-filled parks provide a peaceful setting for a stroll. Needless to say, in a worldly modern city like Sochi, all the international brands one might possibly find for a shopping spree are located right here. Sochi was also the summer home of the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin, whose dacha residence, built in 1937, is now open for visits. Stalin's dacha is still furnished with some of the original decorations. Hidden by thick trees, Green Grove, where Stalin spent 3 or 4 months every summer from 1937 until his death in 1953. Back on board, we continue south down the coast into the Georgian breakaway republic of Abkhazia. Our next stop is the town of Novy Afon. A warm welcome at the platform. Novy Afon, which dates back to a Greek settlement here in the 3rd century, has been substantially rebuilt following the war with Georgia in in which Abkhazia declared its independence. Since Jules Verne wrote his influential novel, Journey to the Center of the Earth, the aim to discover the deepest place below the surface of the Earth has sparked the imaginations of generations of explorers, adventurers, and scientists. Inevitably, they're drawn to Abkhazia, home to some of the deepest known caves on Earth. Novy Afon is a fascinating village, a tourist destination highlighted by the Church of St. Simeon the Canaanite, dating from the 9th or 10th century. In the 1880s, the church was restored to its former glory using blocks of white stone and adorned with images of Christian symbols influenced by the Byzantine and Georgian art traditions. The stunning New Athos monastery, built in the 1880s, is perched high above the town, overlooking the Black Sea. We return along the coast for 200 kilometers before taking a relatively new railway line to Krasnodar and then Tikhoretsk, while enjoying a delicious lunch on board, also with fine local specialties and selected wines before arriving.
Vodka, you can continue with the vodka afterwards.
In Tikhoretsk, we have the opportunity to visit the locomotive repair depot to see more historic engines. The turntable under full operation is an outstanding photo opportunity. Steam locomotives require a large number of different facilities, and their maintenance is carried out with enormous passion. These mechanics still have an expert's knowledge of the steam locomotive era, which is essential to keep these historic locomotives operational on today's modern railway. Next stop, the cosmopolitan capital of the North Caucasus, Rostov-on-Don. We continue to Starocherkassk, the former Don Cossack capital, where we visit the Military Resurrection Cathedral, built between 1706 and 19, and the many preserved Cossack buildings in what is now a protected area. A visit to the city center is followed by a boat ride on the Don River, from where Russia's 10th largest and most cosmopolitan city can be seen in the best possible way. The Rostov to Volgograd route is a 500-kilometer train ride through flat, barren land. Not really scenic, perhaps, but a nice backdrop for a moment to complete your notebook or travel journal. This morning we arrive in Volgograd. Standing on the banks of the Volga, the city, known in Soviet times as Stalingrad, was the dramatic scene of one of the most important battles of World War II, where the Russians heroically turned back the Nazi advance to alter the course of the war. We visit the poignantly sobering Mamayev Kurgan War Memorial, followed by an informative museum visit. To digest the impressive visit to Volgograd, tune in with the last waltz, or perhaps some lighter songs. As we travel on the final leg of this momentous journey north towards Moscow, behind our two P-36 steam locomotives, you're especially invited onto the footplate. Always a happy hour somewhere, drinks and stories to be shared. Today we enjoy our gala dinner on board the Golden Eagle. Our 5,700-kilometer journey ends tomorrow in Moscow. This Caucasian train journey leaves us more than enough memories for a lifetime. The Golden Eagle Caucasian train tour is not only for steam train buffs, it's a unique experience with something for everyone. Early in the morning we arrive at the Paveletsky station in Moscow, where this mammoth tour ends. But for those passengers that chose to extend their trip, the tour will continue to St. Petersburg. The Moscow high-speed train service brings us to Bologoye in just 2 hours before we encounter more steam train experiences. Bologoye is located approximately halfway between Moscow and St. Petersburg on the railway route connecting the two cities. Since September 2018, a regular passenger train is steam-hauled on the Bologoye-Otashkov line, a distance of 112 kilometers. The Bologoye-Otashkov line is one of the last non-modernized rail lines in the country. It was never electrified. Russian steam locomotive construction began in 1833 and ended abruptly in 1956. And you would have to travel a long way in that country today to see surviving steam in any numbers. It's not always realized that the Russian railway system is the largest in the world under one administration. The distances are enormous. over 6,000 miles from the Polish border to Vladivostok on the Pacific Ocean. About 1,300 miles north of Moscow, the rails lead to the icy tundra above the Arctic Circle. While 2,600 miles south, they reach the semi-tropical conditions on the Persian border. St. Petersburg, our final destination, is Russia's second largest city with over 5 million inhabitants and is an important Russian port on the Baltic Sea. As well as being the cultural capital, St. Petersburg is one of the world's finest cities. Built by Peter the Great as a gateway to Europe in 1703. The Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul in the Peter and Paul Fortress is the oldest church in St. Petersburg, and also the second tallest building in the city. It's intimately linked to both the history of the city and to the Romanov dynasty, and the location of nearly all the graves of the rulers of Russia since Peter the Great. St. Petersburg is home to the legendary Hermitage, one of the largest art museums in the world. The State Hermitage Museum is a world-class museum of art and culture. It was founded in 1764 when Empress Catherine the Great acquired an impressive collection of paintings from the Berlin merchant Johann Ernst Goskowski. Open to the public since 1852, the museum celebrates the anniversary of its founding each year on the 7th of December, St. Catherine's Day. After the Revolution of 1917, the Hermitage expanded to include the adjacent Winter Palace. The Naval Cathedral of St. Nicholas in Kronstadt is a Russian Orthodox cathedral built between 1903 and 1913 as the main church of the Russian Navy and dedicated to the memory of her sailors. In 1929, the cathedral was converted to a cinema, a house of officers, and a museum of the Navy. However, the Russian Orthodox Church reinstalled the cross on the main dome in 2002, and today it's a fully restored cathedral. Known as the Venice of the North, St. Petersburg is one of the world's most beautiful cities, with all the ingredients for an unforgettable travel experience: art, lavish architecture, wild nightlife, an extraordinary history, and a centuries-old rich cultural tradition. Back to train topics as we visit the new National Railway Museum, opened in November 2017. The museum complex is among Europe's largest railway museums, spread over a vast area. It has 2 buildings, including an old locomotive depot. Museum tours feature a collection of rare and legendary steam locomotives, electric locomotives, rail cars, and other rolling stock. Historic artifacts rub shoulders with current operating models, interactive installations, and temporary exhibition halls, creating an unusual and evocative museum space. Last but not least, we visit the Moskovsky Steam Depot, a unique depot still in operation, repairing these wonderful old machines. At this old, carefully preserved locomotive depot, dedicated craftsmanship and machines are up and running to make sure that the rich history of steam locomotives is here to stay. What a privilege to be invited to step onto the footplate. Join us on board for our next episode of Cruising on Rail.